Hi everyone, welcome back. Another gear walkthrough today, and this one is with my latest F-Open build, which was, I think this one sort of came together in around August of 2021. This is a 284 Shehane. So I've previously posted a couple of videos of me shooting a 284 Shehane. Different stock, completely different rifle. Basically, I've since moved that rifle on. I sold that to a club member within my club that was keen to get into F-Open, and I had this one already sort of planned as far as the stock had already been ordered, and yeah, I decided to build another 284 Shehane when the rest of the components arrived. I've been very happy with that particular cartridge. Obviously the 284 Winchester needs no introduction. Been around for quite some time. It's really the workhorse in the F-Open world, the world over. Easy to tune, good ballistics, pretty reasonable barrel life for the performance it offers, and it doesn't offer, doesn't really throw up any surprises at people getting into that particular caliber. It's a really smart way to get into F-class open shooting and be competitive, provided you can read the conditions. So yeah, again, we'll start up front. This one's also sporting a tuner. It is a different tuner to my 300 WSM. This one is a Dan Bramley barrel tuner. Quite a bit smaller than the Ezel tuner, and also quite a bit lighter as well. I first saw the Dan Bramley tuners, caught them on Facebook actually through Keith Wheel at KW Precision. Saw him fitting up a lot of these tuners to a lot of the new rifle builds coming out of his shop over in the US, and I immediately liked the look. It's a very clean look. It's a very minimalistic look to the barrel. And the other thing with this particular tuner is that it removes very little material off the barrel during the threading process, whereas other tuners do tend to take a bit more material off the barrel. And not saying that that's a bad thing, but there's the potential, I guess, with removing quite a bit of material off the barrel that the bore could potentially open up a smidgen more. And we're only talking thousandths, but thousandths is all of an inch is all it takes to make a difference on target. So the Dan Bramley tuner is hooked up to a 32-inch Bartlein barrel. This barrel is a 8.5 twist. It's a 4-groove, and it's a left-hand twist as opposed to the traditional right-hand twist, I guess. One thing Bartlein do offer is a multitude of customizable features when you order a barrel through them. This was a custom order, and it's also finished in Bartlein's new 400 mod steel, which is supposed to give additional barrel life over the traditional 416R. Remains to be seen. This is obviously very early days in this barrel's existence. I think I've got less than 250 rounds down this barrel so far. I've only really just sort of finalised my low development powder charge and bullet seating depth. I've also played with the tuner a little bit, not too much. I've found 2 tuner settings that look quite reasonable, and I'm hoping to give that one last sort of test to confirm before I call this rifle good to go moving into the future. So the plan will be for this rifle to use it at certainly in New South Wales at the Queen's Championship next month. This will be used at the mid distance, 500 and 600 metres, and the 300 WSM will come out for 700 and 800. But again, this rifle will be my workhorse for other ranges like Bendigo down in Victoria, which I haven't shot before, but that's on the cards for me this year, and as well as Belmont up in Brisbane for the Nationals mid-year. So yeah, again, this build, aside from the different brand and the barrel, largely mirrors my 300 WSM. I wanted it to feel, I didn't want to have any sort of surprises in terms of feel, so same action, Borden BRM XD, dual port, right feed, left eject. It's also fitted up to a Trigger Tech Diamond trigger, which I'm very, very happy with. They break super crisp, there's no creep in them at all. And I think for the money, it is a very, very hard trigger to go past, based on my experience with them. And I have had other triggers like, you know, Bixen Andy. Yeah, the Trigger Tech comes very, very close to that in my opinion. Again, March High Master 10 to 60 by 56 scope. March Gen 3 rings, same as my 300 WSM. Moving back to the rear of the Kestros ZR stock, it's also fitted with a rad system. On both my Kestros ZR stocks, I have actually changed out the standard spring on the rad system for an aftermarket spring kit that I did buy, and that's made a bit of a difference in terms of the recoil absorption. Mind you, shooting the 284 Shehane after the 300 WSM, I mean, it sort of feels like I'm almost shooting a 6.5, to be honest. I don't notice the recoil at all. Like I said, I enjoy shooting the 300 whilst it does push a bit. I do find that recoil entirely manageable. It doesn't beat me up, and this one certainly doesn't beat me up. Yeah, so pretty happy with how this one's working out so far. It's not giving me any sort of surprises. Yeah, as far as my 284 Shehane loads are concerned, I run Peterson 284 brass. It's a no neck turn chamber. I had a custom reamer made specifically for Peterson brass. Berger 184 grain hybrids, pointed behind Cellier and Bellow primers, and I'm using ADI 2213 shortcut powder in this particular setup. Or for anyone overseas, particularly the US that might be watching this, that is Hodgin H4831 shortcut powder. That's obviously all made here in Australia and then rebranded and shipped overseas. So I find that powder, it's obviously it's the next step below H4350 or ADI 2209, which most straight 284 shooters will run 2209 powder. But I find with the Shehane, whilst you're only blowing the sidewalls out sort of 10 thou, I do find that certainly in this one and my previous build, which I moved on, 2213 shortcut is working very nicely in it. Cleans up well. I'm not chasing velocity with this rifle. I've read all the reports of people running Shehanes up around 2,900 feet per second with 180 grain projectiles. That was not my intention with this build. So with my powder charge testing, I had a lovely sort of, not completely flat, it's flatter, but around 15 feet per second. Over 10 shots I had an ES of 11 feet per second with an SD of, I think it was 3.2, 3.3 feet per second. Which over 10 shots I will certainly take that any day of the week. And so far it seems to be translating on target. It's holding good vertical out to 800 meters, which is a good thing, obviously. And the powder charge, I guess, is also on the light side. So that's also proving to be very easy on brass. No pressure issues or anything like that. Primer pockets on the Peterson brass holding up extremely well. They're very, very tight, which is good. So provided I don't kill the brass prematurely through any improper reloading techniques such as oversizing, yeah, I expect to get quite a few firings out of the brass. The weight of this rifle tips the scales at 9.7 kilos, which gives me about 300 grams up my sleeve to play with. So that was the other thing, you know, like with going through all the different components for builds, making sure I stay underweight. You've obviously got that 10 kilo limit for F-open rifles. My 300 WSM is actually slightly lighter than this one. It tips the scales at 9.4 kilos, giving me over half a kilo of leeway. The 31-inch barrel, there's a fraction less steel. This one's obviously finished at 32. And you get a little bit of variation in the Kestrel stocks as well. The way they're sort of made, there is material fill in here, and some of them when they come out, and they might not have as much material in them as others, so that you might have to have material added to it. And obviously I saw a couple of the ZRs early on in the piece when they first started landing in Australia. They were being built on Barnard actions, and the Barnard action itself is a fantastic action. It's been used in many match-winning rifles. I believe Rod Davies, current F-open world champ. I know Rod runs Barnards, and that's what he used to win the world champs over in Canada back in 2017 with. So there's no questioning the pedigree of Barnard. But when it came down to me, selecting components for this, I saw the guys that had Barnard actions in the Kestrel ZR stock, and particularly at the back end, with the three-way adjustable butt pad that is available as an option, they were running overweight, and consequently had to remove the cheek piece to stay underweight and remain on the firing line. So when I was researching actions, I saw the Borden BRM XD. In this particular configuration, I think it comes in around the ounces to grams conversion. I'm not quite conversant with, but it's about 7 or 8 ounces lighter than a Barnard action. So there was a weight saving to be had there. And conversely with the rad system at the rear, the rad system also comes in lighter than a three-way adjustable butt pad. So through those weight savings, I was pretty comfortable and confident that I was going to make weight and not have to, remove my cheek piece to sort of shoot. I mean, as it currently stands, yeah, it has an adjustable cheek piece. I don't adjust it at all. With an F-open rifle, the less skin contact you've got with a cheek piece, in my opinion, the better. The more you can sort of leave your head floating behind the scope, the better, in my opinion. So yeah, what is one of these things how long does it take to put together? Might be a question some of you are wondering if you haven't gone down this path before. the Macmillan stocks, whether or not you're buying them sort of locally in the US or if you're ordering over here in Australia, I think now Macmillan are quoting like a 9-month wait on the ZRs. And that's been my sort of experience to date. They've sort of landed in Australia after about 9 months, and then, you know, depending on your gunsmith's work schedule, you know, give or take another month or so to you know, get the remainder of the work done. Obviously, it's a expensive build. And you know, with that, there comes a bit of a wait. Even the board and actions now, I think board and accuracy have come out and said they're sort of out to a 9-month wait now. So far, I've been lucky enough. I got my 2 board and actions in about 6 months. I've got a 3rd on order right now though for a new build, and that's sort of been 5-6 months now, and it still hasn't left the US. So COVID's obviously had an impact. And because of COVID, worldwide sort of shipping, freight, that's all sort of, you know, reduced flights leaving countries and so forth. Just taking a lot longer to get things these days. So, you know, this build, I conceptualized it September, October 2020, and collected the rifle in August 2021, so we're talking just under 12 months. I think if I was to do the same thing again right now, I'd be looking at 12 months minimum, due to those other factors that I just mentioned. So yeah, if you want to build something like this, just be mindful it's going to take some time. So yeah, patience is a virtue. But yeah, that's my 284 Shehane. And yeah, thanks for watching.